taking over Chris's job starting next week, so I'll be the new coordinator. We had a nice little retirement party in here this afternoon for Chris. And you guys are all really lucky because you'll be here for her last official support group.
Congratulations.
Give her all the hugs that you'd like to at the end. So today we're going to talk about weight regain after bariatric surgery. Mostly how to prevent it, right? How many people here have not had surgery? How many, okay. How many people have had surgery within the last 6 months? How about within the last year? Within the last 2 years? Last 3 years? Who am I missing? How far out are you guys?
4.5.
4.5? 4 years. Fantastic. Well, I will go through a whole bunch of slides, but please, if you have questions, stop, holler them out, raise your hand, whatever you want to do, okay? So the objectives tonight are to really understand the whys. Why can people gain weight after having bariatric surgery? I always like to talk about the whys because if you understand why things can happen, then it makes it a lot easier to understand maybe how to prevent things like that from happening. We're going to talk about how to prevent weight regain, and then lastly, really what to do if it happens to me, okay? So this is a quote that I liked. It says, "Obesity is a chronic disease that is not cured by surgery. Surgery provides a powerful tool for significant weight loss, but without proper care, the tool can lose its effectiveness, leading to weight regain." Nothing I'm going to say tonight is going to be anything, excuse me, new. Sorry, there's no magic. I'm not going to tell you the secret. Everything we're going to talk about is things that you've learned before surgery and things that you've learned kind of throughout your journey. But we're just going to really refresh and retouch on some things. But yeah, obesity is a chronic disease. So like any other chronic disease, it's something that you're going to have to really control, keep an eye on, have follow-up care with doctors. And surgery is your tool, and you're going to have to constantly utilize that tool and use it to your best ability, right? So surgery is not a quick fix. We've learned that. And it is most definitely not the easy way out. You know, I know many of you may have had friends or family members say, "You're taking the easy way out." Absolutely not. It's not short term. And it is not a cure to obesity. We just said that. But what is surgery? It's a tool you can use. It's a lot of hard work. It's long term. And it's a way to put obesity into remission. So we can kind of really keep track of that. So keys to the prevention of weight regain. It all starts with education and then your follow-up. You know, you, before surgery, learned a lot. You have your binder, lots of good information in there. We made you come in and talk to the dietitian, the psychologist, some of you the physical therapist, depending on how far out you are from surgery. You know, we give you a lot of education beforehand, but then following up with those same practitioners afterward is also very, very important. So education and follow-up with dietary, behavior health, and exercise. Those are kind of the keys in those different areas. So this looks like a pretty simple equation. We've all heard that. Calories in minus calories out equals either weight gain or weight loss. Well, it is really that simple, but there's a lot that goes into it. So calories in, we get that from protein, carbs, and fat. Obviously, after surgery, we can't eat as much food, so that calories or energy in is going to be less, right? But all calories are not created equally. We're going to look at that. So calorie is not a calorie. If you look at 100 calories of fructose, those are your simple carbs. That's really where you get your carbs from, maybe fruit. It can be turned into glucose and stored as glycogen. That's our quick energy. But if the liver is already full of that quick energy, that glycogen, it then gets turned into fat. So the carbs that you eat can quickly be turned into fat. Can cause insulin resistance, which raises insulin levels and then drives fat gain. And it does not lower the hunger hormone. So when you're eating 100 calories of fructose, you might still be hungry. Compared to 100 calories of protein. About 30% of the calories you eat from protein, you're actually going to burn off as you're eating it. It increases the levels of fullness and boosts your metabolic rate. Bonus. And it helps build muscles, which are metabolically active tissue that burns calories around the clock. So, obviously, we want to be eating protein. You know, when you started off in this journey, we talked about protein first. We still need to be focusing on protein first for these reasons. All right? So next, calories or energy out. What is that made of? That's our total daily energy expenditure. What makes that is our resting metabolic rate. Your resting metabolic rate is the amount of energy that your body just needs to run. Your body is a machine. So think about it as when your machine is just running an idle. And that's about 60 to 70% of our total daily energy expenditure, our calories out. Well, we can't change that a whole lot. That's just our metabolic rate. That's just what it takes for our body to make our heart pump, our lungs to open, things like that. So we can't really control a whole lot of that. Next is the thermal effect of food. That's chewing, swallowing, and digesting our food. That's about 5 to 10% of our calories out. Then our non-resting energy expenditure. And that's about 25 to 35% of our energy out. So that is exercise as well as non-exercise, meaning things that we're just moving around, walking to pick up your plate. That would be considered into this category. So that's an area that we actually can control a little bit. We can increase our calories out by increasing our exercise and what we're doing. Now, our resting metabolic rate actually goes down as we lose weight. So we don't burn as much because we don't have as big of an engine to run. Wah, 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 right? That's a bummer because that's a huge part of our calories out. But we can increase that by maintaining our muscles or even increasing our muscles, okay? Thermal effect of food, protein, carbs, fat, we can control that one as well by eating protein-focused meals because protein, we burn 20 to 35% of what we're eating with our protein because it's harder to digest. It's harder for that to work its way into our system. Carbs, you only burn about 5 to 10% of what you're eating, and fat goes straight to fat. All right, we don't burn much.
Is that why you say solid protein first?
You betcha. You betcha. See, nothing new, right? Also, with our exercise and our non-exercise activity, our body becomes more efficient. So our energy out has a hard time. Bless you. Our body becomes more efficient, so we don't burn as many calories, even if we're doing the exact same thing every day. We're walking our 2 miles every day. It gets a lot easier. Our body becomes more efficient, so we don't burn as many calories out. So that calories in minus calories out, simple? Not so simple, right? The other thing that happens is this adaptive thermogenesis, and that's how our bodies adapt to this new body, this new weight. So it's a change in the resting metabolic rate that is greater than what's expected. So if you lose 10% of your body weight, your resting metabolic rate can actually drop, what did I write down here? 20 to 25%, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that can happen. So when you do things before surgery, dieting and exercising before surgery, this adaptive thermogenesis really played a big factor, which is why when you dieted and exercised, you lost weight, but you really had a hard time keeping it off because your resting metabolic rate dropped even more than was expected from somebody of that exact weight. So what it says here too is that, you know, a formerly obese or overweight person will require 300 to 400 calories less a day to maintain the same weight of somebody who was never obese or overweight. So for instance, if you weighed 200 pounds, lost weight to 150 pounds, next to the same person, or not the same person, a different person who weighs 150 pounds was never at the 200 pounds, you're gonna have to not eat 300 to 400 calories, eat 300 to 400 calories less than what they're eating just to stay the same weight, okay?
Is that for life?
stinks. What was that?
Is that for life?
That's for life, but
Said life was fair, right?
life was fair. But bariatric surgery and the weight loss you get with bariatric surgery actually has a blunting effect of the adaptive thermogenesis, which is why when you lose weight after bariatric surgery, adaptive thermogenesis still kicks in because our bodies are made to survive, right? That's a survival mode. Your body's not gonna let you lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. It's going to kick in, slow the metabolism down a little bit so that we can maintain a healthy weight. But bariatric surgery has a little blunting effect of the adaptive thermogenesis so that it will allow you to survive, but it doesn't kick in and stay that way for life. I mean, it allows you to get to your new set point and then stay there, okay? But it kind of shows why before surgery, when you lost weight, and you're still doing what your neighbor's doing, why you're gaining weight back, because you had to actually be in a deficit of at least 300 to 400 calories to maintain that weight, okay? So we're gonna look at how the weight loss curve looks when you lose weight after surgery, okay? So this is a weight loss curve that I developed taking 100 patients and looking at their average weight loss over 2 years, all right? And then it's a percentage. So this would be the same looking curve for every patient, average patient, but we just picked a starting weight of 350 pounds. So this is the pre-op diet, right, into the 1 week after surgery. Very steep weight loss. 2 months, still pretty good steep weight loss there, but it's slowing down a little bit. 3 to 6 months, we're evening out a little bit, and you guys have all witnessed this who are at least 6 months out after surgery. You know, right in the very beginning, you're losing a pound a day, pound and a half a day. Well, even 6 months out, if you're doing the exact same thing, why is my weight loss slowing down a little bit? You know, your body is less weight, so your metabolic rates could be less. Remember, not as big of an engine to run. So we're not burning as many calories just to run our engine. So then it smooths out 9 months, a year, and then 2 years. Sometimes we see a little dip up about at the 2 year mark. You know, between 18 months, 2 years, people start seeing maybe a little bit of an increase in their weight. Anybody experience that? Okay. So according to the American Society for Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery, upwards of 50% of patients regain 5% of their body weight within 2 years after surgery. The secret to permanent weight loss is to make lifestyle changes that stick. Okay, so 5%, if you lose 100 pounds, 5% is 5 pounds. But once you start seeing that little dip, feeling that little dip, now that's time to, yes?
Is that the body weight that they lost or that they regained? So if they lost, it's 5% of whatever you lost.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So once you see that little blurb up, then it's time to know, okay, things like adaptive thermogenesis has kicked in. This is maybe my new set point. Now I gotta focus on what am I doing that's causing me to maybe start gaining a little bit of weight. 5 pounds, not a big deal. That 5 pounds can turn into 10 pounds, into 15 pounds. If we let it, we need to step back and kind of look at what we're doing, okay? So first things we're gonna look at is common dietary causes of weight regain. solids and drinking fluids at the same time, right? Dense protein solids, always start with that. When we drink, when we eat, and sometimes that habit can kind of sneak back in without us thinking about it, but we flush the solids out and the hunger kicks in quicker. So a lot of times when we hear people say, I'm hungry 30 minutes after I eat. Well, are you drinking when you're eating? Well, a little bit. You're flushing that food right on through, allowing you to feel hungry again sooner. This is a big one. Grazing, mindless munching, and snacking. Snacking can sneak in really, really easily, right? It's around us all the time. We see other people doing it. We've done really well with our weight loss. Well, I can have a few M&Ms. Where are my M&M boys back there, right? I can have a few. A few turns into a handful, can turn into a little bit more, and pretty soon you're in the habit of eating a handful of M&Ms every day, okay? Snacking really can sneak back in. And we're really usually unaware that we're even doing it, and it's usually not nutrient-dense things that we're snacking on that can be causing weight regain, all right? Mindless eating. Start tracking your food again, looking at what you're eating, planning it out, journaling it. Skipping meals. Actually, that sounds like a really good idea, right? We're not taking in any calories if we skip a meal, except you're missing out on the good nutrients that you're having with that meal. If you're eating your good protein first, good stuff. And also, if you skip a meal, you tend to be hungrier at the next meal and maybe overeating, or then snacking before that next meal. Drinking calories. Easy peasy way to get some extra calories in. Those coffee drinks, those smoothies, we don't even think about them as being extra calories. They go down really, really easily. You get a good coffee drink, 300 calories, boom, right? Mindless. Some more is not taking your bariatric vitamins. Those are really, really important because they fill the nutritional gaps, but they're also some really important nutrients that help you metabolize fat. Calcium's one of them. It's a really important nutrient. Not meeting your protein needs. Your ideal weight loss should come from fat, not your muscles. So we want to make sure that we're feeding our muscles with our protein. Eating processed food. Those are the snack foods. Those are the packaged foods, not the real stuff that's around the perimeter of the grocery store. This is the stuff that's more in the center, but they're toxic. It's a toxic load on your liver, and it's harder to metabolize all the extra fat that you want to be metabolizing and burning. Pureed food syndrome. That's stuff that just can go through a little bit quicker, okay? Empties from your stomach much quicker. You tend to be hungrier faster. You can eat more if you're eating softer, more puree type foods. Things like mashed potatoes, pudding, cream soups, stay away from those things. If you're eating those things and you're thinking, oh, I am kind of hungrier a lot more, look back and say, I should start eating my solid, dense protein, fill my stomach so that I have that sense of fullness longer. Or obviously eating the wrong carbs. Anything that's white is probably not going to be very good for you. Refined flour, bread, pasta, it limits the stomach's capacity for those good nourishing foods that you really want to be eating. So remember always your protein first, your good veggies, and then if there's any room, a good whole grain would be a much better choice than any of these white carbs. Now we may have some medical causes that can cause us to regain some weight. And if you're able to eat more, you're doing everything right, you're following all the rules in your binder, but for some reason you're able to eat more than 3/4 of a cup of food at one time, and you're not drinking with your food, and it's good, solid, dense protein, you may have to come in and see the surgeon and see, is there something that my pouch, is it overstretched? Is my sleeve dilated for some reason? Okay. Hormonal adaptation. This is when your hunger hormone comes back in and plays a little bit of a factor. That's part of what we're talking about here, because our bodies are made to survive, right? So after surgery, your hunger hormone, that ghrelin, is really kind of not part of the party anymore. Well, it's part of our survival. It's the way our brain has been told to go seek out and find food. That's ghrelin. Turns on that hunger hormone, tells our brain, seek out, hunt, gather, get food. After surgery, we don't have that hunger hormone telling us to do that much, so we're not very hungry, but our bodies are made to survive. So that hunger hormone does come back in and play a little bit of a factor, a year out, 18 months, 2 years out. We just really need to sharpen all the tools in our toolbox so that we're able to listen to that hunger hormone and make good choices. But also hormones, especially for women, we start going through menopause, we can have some weight regain, okay? We also can have thyroid issues. Your thyroid is what controls your metabolism. And if we have thyroid issues, it can really slow down your metabolism. Nothing that you're doing, but it could be a thyroid issue. So that could be something that you might want to have checked out. Certain medications can cause us to gain weight. It's a great time if you're taking some medications, especially antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, sleep medication, a whole bunch of different things, some blood pressure medication. It'd be a great time to come in and talk to one of our nurse practitioners, are really good at deciphering which medications can cause you to gain extra weight and maybe switching you to something that can still work well for you but not cause the extra weight gain. Heart and kidney problems can cause weight gain. That's typically fluid retention, okay? If we're not able to pump all that extra fluid out of our body. And then obviously pregnancy can cause weight gain, okay? There's some behavioral causes that can maybe drive us to have some weight regain. Binge eating being a really popular one. I know in the follow-up with our psychologists, they ask you lots of questions and screen people for binge eating. They can test for that as well as treat for that. Alcohol or drug use or abuse can be a factor, and that's something that I know our psychologists discuss before surgery, and obviously look and try to see if there's any issues with that, but then also talking about that after surgery. Addressing food urges. Now after surgery, a lot of times we don't have hunger really from being here in our machine. Sometimes we have head hunger. That's hunger when you're bored or if you're sad, things like that. And that's a great time to come in and maybe talk to the psychologist and say, I'm eating every night at 10 o'clock because I'm bored, it's something to do. Well, looking at other things you can do instead of eating at that time. Stress. This is a big one. Stress releases cortisol, which causes you to want to eat things that are higher in calorie, higher in sugar, higher in fat. So looking for new ways to deal with stress, but really most importantly, learning what your triggers are for stress and looking at how we can help reduce that. So activity and exercise. You start an exercise program right away after surgery. We have you up walking while you're here in the hospital, and we encourage you to continue to do that. But exercise gets easier as you lose weight, which is fantastic. But as exercise gets easier, it also means your body's not working as hard because it doesn't have to. So you have to look at ways to work a little bit harder. So those first 5 months, you have rapid weight loss. We looked at that on the weight loss curve. And this is a great opportunity to burn fat. Take advantage of this by exercising and mainly cardio at this time because you're really burning fat and you've got more fat that you can burn at this point. And the cardio steers the weight loss from the muscle to the fat. But during weight loss, some muscle is lost as well, and we want to prevent that as much as possible. So we want to make sure that we are keeping our muscles nice and healthy and happy. So we need to make sure that we are focusing on our muscles as well. Now, to regain some of that muscle mass, resistance training, that's using weights or resistance bands, circuit training, things like that needs to start to be incorporated into your daily activity. Lifting weights after 2 months post-op is what is recommended. And then combining the cardio along with this resistance training should be included in your lifestyle changes. So that should be really what you're focusing on. After you are through that very beginning part of rapid weight loss, now you need need to start looking at, you've got all this energy, use it, right? Going out, doing cardio, but also making sure that you are really keeping those muscles nice and happy. So what should I do and how much should I do it? Create a plan that you can follow, but also set realistic goals. You know, when you set realistic goals, you're more apt to actually follow through and do them. When you set lofty, high goals, the first time we fail, we're like, oh, we're done with that. We're not gonna do anything about it. So create a plan, but set those realistic goals. The ASMBS, which is the American Society for Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery. I was like, the association? That's not right. They recommend at least 30 minutes of physical activity a day, but the International Association for the Study of Obesity recommends moderate intense activity of 60 to 90 minutes or less if it's vigorous activity most days of the week. So moderate intense activity is what would be, if you're walking, you might still be able to carry on a conversation. You can't quite sing a song, but you can just kind of carry on a conversation, okay? You know, not that you're just walking along and you're able to sing a song and tell stories, but you can just kind of carry on a conversation. So we want to be able to do that the minimum of 30 days or 30 minutes a day, but really focusing on maybe more like 60 to 90 minutes. So they also recommend 150 minutes a week to maintain your health, but 200 minutes a week to prevent weight regain, okay? So we really want to focus on maintaining or increasing our muscle mass, because if we feed our muscles, we're going to keep our metabolism healthy, okay? So your resting metabolic rate, remember we looked at that first equation, really is fed by your muscles. The more muscle mass you have, the higher your resting metabolic rate is going to be. So a lot of times as we're losing weight, we hit plateaus, and that can be very frustrating for people. Now, there's some ways that we can look at, why are you hitting a plateau? And sometimes it's just your body's natural, it's just kind of playing catch up. It's trying to figure out what is going on with this new body of yours. But if you're looking at, what am I doing and I hit a plateau, kind of take note of some things. If you've stopped exercising, restart. If you're exercising regularly, but you're no longer seeing results, you maybe are no longer challenging yourself. Your body's become more efficient. It's able to do those 2 miles every day, just about sleepwalking. It's, you know, she's putting her shoes on, up, here we go again. Don't really have to work very hard. So it's time to increase your time that you're exercising and or the intensity. So that means exercising longer or exercising harder. You know, a little bit faster, maybe doing a jog, maybe doing something on an incline. That would be increasing the intensity. So when your body's adapted to the exercise and become more efficient at that exercise, it means your body's no longer burning as many calories as when you first began, which could be why you hit a plateau. Instead of continuing to lose that weight, it's kind of, you know, caught up to what you are taking in. So it's important to frequently change your exercise routine, keep yourself challenged, but also kind of confuse your body, confuse those muscles. Don't let them know what you're doing before you go out there and do something, and it makes them have to work a lot harder. So muscle is the active tissue that helps burn fat, and that's what we want, right? So circuit training, HIIT training, Zumba, kickboxing, weight training are all great exercises. Lots of things you can do. Dancing is fantastic, swimming, biking. Find something that you enjoy, seek out, find someone maybe to do it with, but you just have to do something. Find something that's fun. So if you don't know what HIIT training is, I just put a little example on here. So HIIT training is high intensity interval training. And what that means, it's little rest with high intensity exercises. So for example, doing burpees for 45 seconds, resting for 15, mountain climbers 45 seconds, resting 15, jump squats 45 seconds, etc., etc. And then doing maybe 3 rounds of something like that. You can do a HIIT training workout in a very small period of time with great results because it actually keeps that metabolism boosted longer after you've finished. The other thing that can cause weight regain is sleep deprivation. All these things happen when we're depriving ourselves of sleep. Our metabolism actually slows down. We have increased fatigue, which means that we don't want to work out as much. We have insulin resistance, which helps us store more fat. Our willpower goes down, which means it's harder for us to make those good choices. Our hunger hormone goes up, our satiety hormones go down, our cortisol level goes up, that's our stress hormone. All of those cause us to crave calorie-dense foods. So, they recommend 7.5 hours of sleep a night. It's really, really, really important. You know, all these different things you have heard before, but it's great reminders to go back and look at what am I doing in my life? What areas can I maybe look at if I have gained a little bit of weight back? Is there things that I can maybe focus on? So what should I do? Recommit to tracking your food, and you have to be honest with yourself, tracking everything you're putting in your mouth. You know, you're walking by, cleaning off your child's plate, and you eat that last chicken nugget, that gets tracked, right? That gets put into your Berrytastic app or in your food journal. And remembering to make sure that you're having at least the 60 grams of protein a day. Recommitting to tracking your activity, the same thing. Be honest with yourself. Don't say, oh, I think that was 3 miles, when maybe your watch says that was 2.2 miles. Track it in your Berrytastic app as 2.2 miles. But make sure that you want to focus on getting the 30 to 60, maybe even 90 minutes a day. Drinking your sugar-free, non-carbonated fluids, making sure you're getting at least those 64 ounces a day in. Getting enough water and fluids in also helps with fat metabolism. We want to make sure that we're not dehydrated. When we're dehydrated, we actually hold on to any of the fluid we have in our body, okay? So hopefully you all have the Berrytastic app or know how to use that. If you need help with that, our dietitians are experts and they can help walk you through that. But it's a wonderful way to track what you're doing, calories in and your calories out. And then making sure that you're getting enough sleep, at least that 7.5 hours. And then changing up your exercise routine regularly. Remember, confusing your body, challenging yourself, making sure that you are doing all the right things. So here's a look of our first equation. So calories in, we're going to focus on getting that from protein. Calories out, we're going to focus on keeping our muscles healthy or increasing our muscles, and then maybe increasing our exercise or activity. And then also that thermal effect of food, that little one in the middle with the yellow arrow, shows us that also by focusing on protein, we're going to burn more in that thermal effect of food. So tips for success: get post-op support for long-term success. You guys have already taken a huge step there because you're sitting here in a support group. But surrounding yourself with supportive people is also super, super important. Assemble a health team. You know, you had to see all of the different people before surgery, the dietitians, the physical therapists, the psychologists, maybe the sleep technologist. You had to do that maybe for insurance purposes before surgery. But know that all those people want to help you after surgery. We want to help you be as successful as you want to be on this journey. So use your health team. They're the experts. It can really help you on your journey. Rethink your relationship with food. Look at food as fuel. Remember, your body's a machine. We want to run this machine as long as possible, but also as well as possible. So look at your food as fuel and put nice clean fuel into your machine. Create habits that will last a lifetime. You know, commit to this journey. It's not a quick fix. It's not going to be easy. It's going to have to be a commitment, and it's going to be a long journey. And then make fitness a priority. Your body's made to move, and the more it does, the better it works. So, commit to the journey. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Once your body hits its metabolism, where
Yep.
it's supposed to be, and say you gain 5 pounds, how hard is it gonna be to lose that 5 pounds?
So a lot of people tell me that they can really keep that 5 pound, their weight doesn't really stay one number. It'll go up maybe 5 pounds, and then something, you're gonna kind of check in and say, what am I doing that maybe made me gain that 5 pounds? Was I snacking a little bit? Am I not sleeping enough? Have I kind of slacked on my exercise? And it's usually pretty easy to get that, ring that 5 pounds back in. A lot of people go under 5 pounds too, and kind of swings right back and forth. But if we allow that 5 pounds and not check in and say, am I doing anything differently? That 5 pounds can go to 10 pounds, potentially even 15 pounds if we are incorporating some of the unhealthy habits back into our lifestyle. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So you said you should always start like 300 to 400 calories under what the person similar to us would be?
So that was more when you dieted and exercised before having weight loss surgery. That's what was happening, was your metabolism was dropping that much more and really not allowing you to keep the weight off.
So, or maybe I'm not understanding this, but if someone my same size was had say 1,200 calories a day, even though I've had weight loss surgery, I should be eating for 800 or 900?
Not necessarily. Before surgery, for sure, to even maintain that weight. If you were doing the exact same thing somebody else was doing at that same weight. Bariatric surgery doesn't have the exact same effect of that adaptive thermogenesis, but it's still gonna slow your metabolism down because your metabolism was probably slowed down some from even before surgery from maybe dieting and exercise. Now, you're still going to be able to intake roughly the same amount of calories as somebody at that weight, but your metabolism might still be a little bit slower. So I wouldn't say, well, if she can eat it, I should be able to eat it. You know, your resting metabolic rate can only be tested by very scientific ways where they come and you blow into this machine and they test the gases and how you are metabolizing things. That's a great way that you can actually go have your metabolism checked. But they have shown that when people diet and exercise before having bariatric surgery, that your resting metabolic rate drops lower than what is expected. After surgery, it's still gonna drop, but maybe not as much. I know that doesn't, it's super confusing, I think, but it's gonna slow down as you lose weight regardless, just because you've got a smaller engine to run. So as you continue to lose weight, your intake's gonna have to either stay the same and increase your activity to burn more calories. Yes, ma'am.
What if you sleep on the average of 9 hours a night?
You know, they say 7.5 to about 9 hours a night is okay. Anything more than that can actually cause weight regain as well. You know, you have to look at why are you sleeping so much? That's sleeping too much, more than 9 hours. Anybody else? Nope. Did I confuse everybody? A lot of it everybody heard before surgery, during surgery, not a lot new, just refreshers.